Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Laura B. What's up? What's good? If you guys want to see a video on how to get this look I have today, go ahead and keep watching. If you guys do like it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below so you can be notified every time I do post a video. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get to this video. Okay guys, so we're going to jump into this video using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow in the shade Ebony to fill in my eyebrows. And I'm just going to run through this a little bit quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of this brow gel by the Brow Gal, and I'm running through it a little bit, and then I'm going to go in with this concealer from Anastasia as well, and I'm going to dip into that and go ahead and clean my brows up a little bit because I did get a little messy there. But that's what I love about the concealer, that I can go ahead and clean it up if I have to. So if you guys ever mess up on your brows, go ahead and clean that up with your guys' concealer. It could be any concealer, it doesn't have to be this one. This is just the one I have. So you guys are going to see in this video, I do go back and forth with my brows a little bit. They're not completely done at this point. I'm going ahead and filling in the top of my brow, but I'm not finishing it up. I'm going to jump onto the other brow and go ahead and fill that one in as well. So you guys will see in this video that I'm going back and forth with my brows because I do this all the time. I don't just completely finish my brows in one sitting. I kind of go throughout the video, I think, where I'm going back and forth with my brows to do them to my liking. Some days I can get it in one shot. Other days I just have a bad brow day. Today was one of those days. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Anastasia of Beverly Hills concealer, and I'm going to go ahead and clean my brows up. So once I get them to look kind of the same, not exactly the same, but they look kind of the same, then I'm happy with it. Usually I go back and forth with them. So I am filling them in, and this one I go a little bit heavier than the other one just because I already know what shape I want to do them. And I do like to do my brows first, so I'm going in with the Brow Gal Brow Proof Gel, and I'm just going to make sure I get my eyebrows intact before they budge. I don't know what I was doing there. So right here I'm going in with the Born This Way concealer from Too Faced, and I'm going in with the shade Vanilla, as you guys seen, and I'm just going to set my eyes with this. I don't like to use eyeshadow primer. I used to use the MAC Paint Pot, but now I go in with just concealer. I find that that works. It keeps my eyeshadow on and my eyeshadow from creasing, so I just go ahead and use whatever concealer I'm using at the moment. And today it was the Born This Way concealer in the shade Vanilla. So I'm going to go ahead and pat that in with my Morphe sponge. And this sponge is amazing. I love this sponge. I think I'm going to go ahead and repurchase a bunch of them. So I'm going in with this Maybelline Fit Me translucent powder, and I'm going to take that on this stone brush and go ahead and set my eyes. Okay guys, so today we are going to be using the Anastasia of Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette, and this is one of my favorite palettes. I'm going to be taking my first shade on the Morphe M441 brush. So I'm going to take the shade Orange Soda on that M441 brush, and I'm going to go ahead and tap it in there. So I'm going to take a little bit of that shade and start on the inner corner of my eye. And I'm starting on the inner corner because I do like my inner corner to be a little bit deeper. So with this shade, as you can see, I'm just going back and forth in windshield wiper motions and making sure I blend that color out evenly on my crease area. And I'm doing the same thing to the other eye, just going back and forth with that color, making sure it's distributed evenly on the crease area. You want to make sure you get a nice transitional shade down, so when you do put on the rest of the shades, it is going to apply nice and smooth. I make sure I go back and forth on my eyes just to make sure that I'm getting that area covered as evenly as possible. And now I'm going in with the shade Burnt Orange in the palette, and I'm going to go ahead and then take that on the outer V of my eye. And I'm going to go kind of in circular motions at first, and then start taking it in windshield wiper motions and blending it into my crease area. I make sure that I distribute the color the most where I need it, and then kind of start blending it inward. So as you guys can see right here, I'm just blending out that color on top of that transition color that we had put down. And I'm making sure that it's blended out evenly. And I'm going to fast track this a little bit just because you guys already seen what I was doing with my first part of my eye. So I'm going back and forth. Now that I have it distributed evenly the way I'd like it, I'm going to go in with this Morphe M433 brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Rustic in the palette. As you guys can see, this shadow has a lot of pigment, and this palette also has a lot of fallout, but it's not something that I mind. I'm going to go into my outer V again, and I'm taking that shade, and as you guys can see, I'm kind of patting and going in circular motions to kind of distribute that color out. And then I'm going to start doing the same thing and buffing it towards the inner crease of my eye once I have it blended out, just so you guys can see that it's blending out. And now I'm going to start bringing it into the crease area. As you guys can see, like I said, make sure you set that color down, buff it out, and then start bringing it into your crease area, just so you don't get a stark line in your crease area by bringing in too much shadow at once. And I'm creating kind of like a V on the outer corner of my eye, if you guys can see, a light outer V. It's not something drastic, but I do want that shape where it's kind of winged out. So now I'm going to go back into that shade Rustic, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye, making sure that I buff in that color first and then start bringing it into my crease area. I'm not taking too much into my crease area because it starts creating a kind of like a line in your crease area, and you don't want that. You just want it to blend out evenly. As you guys can see here, I was starting to get that line, and throughout the video you guys will see that I try and blend that out. So now I'm going to go in with this Morphe M514 brush, and I'm going to take this brush and go ahead and take it in that shade, I believe it's Sienna. Yeah, it's Sienna. So I'm going to go into Sienna, tap my brush off, and now I'm going into, instead of taking it on the outer V area, I'm going to go into the kind of like the inner third of the eye, and I'm going to go ahead and pat that on there and start blending that shade out. And start blending that color into the rustic shade that we had put down before. So I'm going back and forth, windshield wiper motions, making sure that I'm blending that color out evenly and kind of patting it in at the same time, just to make sure you guys can see that color. I want that color to pop a little bit. Now I'm going to go in with the M441 brush again and blend that color out. And I'm going to just be using that clean brush just to blend those colors out. I'm going back into that shade Sienna in the palette with the M514 brush. And I'm going to go ahead and tap my brush off and place it in the same inner third of my eye that I did on the other eye. And I'm just going to be blending that out just to create a nice gradient and that it all blends out smoothly. And I'm going to go back and forth with windshield wiper motions and kind of in a circular patting form. I'm making sure I'm blending both eyes out and going back and forth on my eyes till I create it to where I want it to look. And now I'm going in with that M441 brush, and I'm going ahead and blending those colors out. I'm going to be taking this flat shader brush with the concealer that we were using earlier, the Born This Way concealer in the shade Vanilla, and I'm going to be using that to create this cut crease on my eye. You guys be patient, take your time on this, and go ahead and just try your best to create the same shape on both eyes. I do have hooded eyes, so it's a little bit harder for me to get into those folds. Right here I'm going to be going back in with that color and trying to do the same thing on the other eye. So I do go back and forth a little bit on both eyes because I'm trying to create them to be the same shape on each eye. And I'm sorry if I go out of frame here for a little bit, but I was trying to close up to my mirror. So I am looking on my viewfinder just to make sure that I'm getting them almost the same shape and as identical as I possibly can. At this point, I feel like they are as good as it's gonna get, so I am doing finishing touches, and I think that's gonna be good. Now I'm going in with this flat shader brush on the shade Tempera in the palette, and I'm gonna go ahead and set that on the concealer so it's not budging, and this is gonna be our lid shade also. I'm gonna go into Cypress Umber now, and I believe that's the M433 brush that I'm taking that on, and I'm gonna go ahead and lay that on the outer V of my eye, and I'm gonna start blending that concealer into my shadow just so it's not so harsh and there's not a stark line there. I'm gonna go ahead and blend back and forth until it starts kind of meshing together and pulling that color out a little bit, like I said, and taking it into the crease area as well so it can deepen it up a little bit. I'm making sure I'm looking back and forth on, I think I was looking on the monitor here just to make sure that I was still in frame. So right here, I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye, take that Cypress Umber shade, and I'm going to be blending that out just to mesh the concealer with the shadow so it doesn't have that stark line. In this eye, I'm taking a little bit less shadow at a time, so that's why I'm going a little bit back and forth with that side. And I'm making sure that they're both blending out evenly. Here, I'm going in with the Heavy Metal Glitter Liner by Urban Decay, and these are really awesome. This is in the shade Midnight Cowboy, and I really like this. This was my first time using this glitter liner. I usually use the Stila ones. I distributed the glitter a lot, like more sparsely. And I'm going ahead and patting that in because I did want it just so when I turn to the side, you can see a reflect of the glitters. So I'm going ahead and taking that where we blended the eyeshadow with the concealer, kind of blending that in a little bit more with this glitter so it's not so harsh. So I'm going back and forth and making sure that they both kind of look the same. So don't be afraid to go back and forth with your eyes. Just, get them to the right way that you would like them to look. Now I'm going in with this Maybelline mascara, and it's in the Chaotic, and I'm not sure, I know it's a black one, but I'm not sure what it's called. I didn't love this too much. The only reason I used it was because I actually just opened it and I had it. But I think I just have to let it dry out a little bit. It was a little bit wetter of a consistency and it kind of got everywhere. Now I'm going to go ahead and take these eyelashes from Amazon that I had ordered, and I'm going to take the second pair on the bottom. As you guys can see, these are very beautiful. I'm going to take that with the House of Lashes eyelash glue, and I'm going to go ahead and set a little bit on the lash band, and I'm going to blow on it a little bit so it gets nice and tacky and place those right on top of my eyelash. You guys, these are very dramatic lashes. They're very wispy. They're lightweight, and I had no problems with them. They felt very comfortable, and if you guys want, I can go ahead and link them down below. I believe the name of the company is Huapan, and I'm not sure about that, but I will link it down below because these are very beautiful lashes, and I'm sure you guys would love them. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this Marc Jacobs primer, and it is the Undercover Perfecting Coconut Face Primer. And I'm just going to go ahead and take a pump of that on my fingertips and rub my hands together and go ahead and pat it into my face. I really love this primer, you guys, because it is very moisturizing. It's one of my favorite primers. And now I'm taking the HD stick from Makeup Forever. And I had just purchased this as well, so it was my first time using this, and I really liked it. It was really high coverage. Right here, I'm just going to be creating 3 lines on each side of my face and 1 on the forehead and the chin. I'm taking my Morphe sponge and I'm going ahead and blending that out, but as you guys can see, it was so much coverage and I didn't even put so much on, so I do recommend this. And I have this in the shade Y335, I believe. And it matched so perfectly. I am very light, so as you can see in this video, it's gonna show like ghostly on me just because it's covering up all my freckles and some of my imperfections on my face. but it does match my skin tone and I love that. So I'm going ahead and blending that out. And as you guys can see, like, this is very full coverage and I didn't use a lot. Like, if I would have used a little bit more, it would have been crazy coverage. And now I'm taking the Born This Way concealer in the shade Vanilla, and I'm going to go ahead and set that under my eyes because, as you guys can tell, I do have some darkness, but I want to cover that up. So I'm going to go ahead and take this concealer, and I really, really like this. I actually like this a lot better than the Tarte Shape Tape because it's not as heavy and it blends out so easily, so perfectly. And it's like, I feel like the Tarte Shape Tape blends out a little bit harder. Like, it takes more time to blend it out. And this one, like, as you guys can see, it blended out so fast. So I went ahead and blended that out with my Morphe sponge. Like I said, I love that sponge. I love how it has that angle at the end where you can kind of shape out that your eyeshadow if you'd like to. So now I'm taking the number 5 translucent powder from Maybelline, and I'm going to go ahead and set that powder under my eye, but as you can tell, I'm kind of like patting it in. Instead of baking and just leaving it there, I patted it into my eyes because I feel like this works best for me because my skin is very dry. So kind of meshing it with my concealer helps a lot. And I went ahead and took whatever was left over and I set my mouth area because I do make a lot of facial expressions and I do get a lot of creasing there, and I went ahead and took a little bit more and set my forehead. So now I'm taking my Baked Body Frosting to Heat and Glow All Over Face and Body Glow powder, and this is a bronzer that I use that I had picked up in a set, and it is honestly one of my favorites. As you can see in the pan, I'm hitting pan and I'm running out, so I'm gonna have to pick up another one, but this is honestly one of my favorite bronzers because it leaves kind of like an all over glow and kind of like a bronzy, like if you went and got a tan type of look. It's not powdery at all and it is one of my favorites. I love this bronzer, and this is by Laura Geller. I'm going ahead and taking that on my forehead area, and I'm making sure I bronze all over the outer side of my face and continuing to do it the same thing on the other side. And right here I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but as you can see, I'm taking it on the jawline just to make sure that everything is evenly bronzed. Now I'm going in with the Butter Bronzer in the shade Bronzer, and this Ita brush, it's like a mini Ita brush that I had gotten a set. I'm going to go ahead and chisel out my cheek area with that because it's a little bit more cool tone, and I'm going to do the same thing on my forehead. Now I'm going to be taking a little bit of that Maybelline translucent powder, and I'm going to be cleaning up the edges of my contour just to make it a little bit cleaner and make sure I have that nice defined chiseled look that I want. I'm going to go ahead and do that on the other side as well. So I'm doing the same thing on both sides, making sure I clean up whatever bronzer I kind of got everywhere because I went in with the bronzer. And I do take my bronzer, like, I like my bronzer to be a little bit higher on my face because I do have more of a round face, so I kind of want it to give it that, like, long effect. Now I'm going in with the Milani #1 Romantic Rose Blush, and I really like this brush. I'm going to take it with a Luxie, kind of like, I think this is like a dual fiber brush, or a stippling brush, I'm sorry. I'm taking it in with the stippling brush, and just because it doesn't pack so much product on the brush, so it's not like you're going ham with the blush. I like to use this for my blush and sometimes for my bronzer because I know I can get a little crazy or carried away with it. So this is just not going to pick up as much, and it's going to distribute it really nicely. As you guys can see, it's just like a light tone of blush, and I really like this blush for when I don't know what I'm doing, so it's not something heavy. And I'm going to go ahead and blend with my Morphe sponge. I'm going to blend in whatever powder I had on my face. Now I'm going to finish up my eyes. I'm going in with the Cypress Umber shade on a flat shader brush. And I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to create a liner effect on the bottom part of my eyelid. And I'm sorry if I go out of frame a little bit right here. I try and come back up. And I just created a liner effect with that. And I'm going to blend that out in a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other eye with that Cypress Umber shade. As you can tell, I'm connecting the shadow from the top of my lid down to the bottom of my lid. And I'm going ahead and creating that liner shade. I like to go back and forth on my eyes. Like I said, just make sure you get it right. So it's not bad to like not be perfect on the first time. Make sure you're going back and forth and kind of doing the same thing for both eyes. So now I'm going in with the rustic shade and I'm taking this on this angled brush on the very, very tip of that angled brush. And I'm going to go ahead and blend that color that we first put down out. So the Cypress Umber shade, we're going to blend that out with the rustic shade. And both of those are shades that we used on our outer V of our eye. So we're going to kind of mesh it together. And as you can see here, I'm just going back and forth and blowing that out. I really like a blown out lower lash line. Right here, I'm going back into rustic and doing the same thing on both eyes to make sure they both kind of look the same. As you can see, I'm going back and forth on both eyes just to make sure I'm getting them even and one's not darker than the other. And I'm showing you guys like what I'm doing because I know it helps more to like kind of explain and kind of show the process of it. So now I'm taking the Smashbox black eyeliner and I'm going to go ahead and line my lower lash line. I'm sorry if this looks crazy. It does look crazy, but I'm going to go ahead and line my lower lash line, make sure I get the inner lash line as well. Now I'm going to go back in with that Chaotic mascara that I didn't love, but I'm going to go in and do my lower lashes. And I like to take this in layers and kind of go back and forth, let it dry a little bit, go back, and get them to the length that I like. I love when my eyelashes at the bottom look spidery. Now I'm taking the Anastasia of Beverly Hills Highlight times Amrezy, and I'm going to go ahead and take that. This is such a beautiful highlighter. It's one of my favorites, and I'm so happy it's coming back. So I'm going to go ahead and take that and start highlighting my cheekbones. I do start kind of like at the cheek area of my face, and I go upwards. I like to start there because when I'm facing forward, I like it to show through, and you would be able to see it if I'm facing you. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight those temples and make sure I get that glow going. I'm going to do the same thing to the other eye. And I'm going to take that down the bridge of my nose as well in a few. So as you can see, you can always build this highlighter up to the consistency that you would like. If you like a more neutral highlight, go ahead and add less. If you like a more beaming highlight, I would add more. Like right here, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more to my top lip area because I like that to be very, very highlighted, and the same thing to the bridge of my nose. So now I'm going in with my lip liner, and this is from Makeup Forever. I'm not sure what shade this was, but it was supposed to be a, I guess it could be used as an eyeliner or as a lip liner, so I just use it as a lip liner. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in a little bit here just so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm so sorry if my lips look crusty. I've had foundation all over them and I should have cleaned it up. So I'm stamping my lips just to create that lower line. And I'm not perfect at creating my lips either. I kind of mess up a little bit and sometimes they just look crazy. Now I'm going in with this Ofra Verona liquid lipstick, and I really love this, especially for the fall time. I love this shade. I think I got this in my BoxyCharm. And if you guys don't have BoxyCharm, I suggest you guys get it. It's like the best thing. You guys get full-size products. I'm going to go ahead and fill my lips in right here. And as you guys can see, that is very pigmented, literally on one swipe. But I do go back and forth because I like my lips to be very plump. Now I'm going to go in with my Tatcha setting spray. And I have a little bit left. So I'm going to go ahead and spray my face with that. I love this setting spray. One of my top favorite setting sprays. And I'm fixing my hair up a little bit. So I go in and pat whatever setting spray I did set on my face, and I'm patting everything in. Right here I realized that I forgot to go in with an inner corner highlight, so I'm going to take that Amrezy highlight and set my inner corners with them. And then I'm also going to set my brow bone area. And that's the look, you guys. Thanks for watching. If you guys like this video, liked me, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit that notification bell down below. And if you guys want more looks, go ahead and let me know. And let me know what you guys think of this video. Let me know what you guys want to see next. I would really appreciate it. And love you guys.